welcome to Counseling Talk. So I am here with Candace Folden. She is a licensed professional counselor right here in our area, Greensboro. Candace, thank you for being here.
Hi, thank you for asking. I'm so excited to be here with you.
Absolutely. And if you guys don't know Candace, before we got started, I was chatting with her, and she does Facebook Live videos that go into like different things that happen in the counseling world. And I was just letting her know that every time she does a Facebook Live, I'm like, this lady does not age. And I met her years back. So I'm like, man, that's good. I need to figure out what's going on in her world. I need some of that cream, maybe.
I'll lend you some.
There we go.
Yeah.
So Candace, how did you get started in this, what I like to call beautiful field of counseling, of being healers and helpers?
Yeah, that's such a great question. I think I just kind of always knew I wanted to do something like this. I was the friend that all of my friends talked to about their
Oh,
problems
yeah.
when we were growing up. So I just decided that I was just going to do it. And I went to grad school and got my master's degree and started out working in community mental health and got some just, real world experience behind me and have a lot of background in substance abuse work and did EAP work for a long time. And then about 5 years ago, lost my job actually with the EAP, and I had been toying with going out on my own for a long time, and I just thought, well, this is sort of the universe's way of pushing me. So off I went, and I actually just had my 5th year anniversary last month for my practice. So yeah, woohoo! Yeah.
That's awesome. And for
Yeah.
those of you listening, EAP is Employment Assistance Program, right?
Yes.
Which I think is awesome, because if you're out there and you're working, you have a job, a lot of times you may not know this, but your employer may have an EAP program that gives you
Yes.
pro bono free counseling sessions.
Absolutely.
Why not take advantage of that?
It's a great benefit, and if you're interested, most companies, you can access it through human resources. It's a wonderful benefit that people have.
Yeah, I love that. I think, right now, especially what we have in the US, where there's like a struggle with the healthcare system, and I know I'm going on a tangent. It's beautiful that they have this program so people can get their feet wet and
Absolutely.
work through issues.
Absolutely. And, a lot of times it just takes 2 or 3 sessions to start feeling like you can move forward in your life, and you don't need long-term therapy. And that's what EAP offers.
Yeah. So Candace, you and I were emailing back and forth, and I was trying to get you on here to talk about a specific topic, but no, it's cool. It's cool because you shared with me, you were like, well, my sessions have more to do with in the moment, like the interactions that are taking place. And I read that, and the big F word came out. I was like, yes, because I'm a big fan of that. I think sometimes we can have structure, but what happens, and I'm here in my office, what happens like behind the closed door, it's so different.
Yeah, for sure.
It's powerful, it's empowering.
For
There's
sure.
tears, there's laughter, there's everything.
Yeah.
So when you're working with, all the amazing people that you work with, what does that journey look like?
Oh, that's such a good question. Yeah, I'm like squirmy like that. Like, you can't pin me down. Um, let's see. It's just interesting. A lot of what I think just humans in general want is the experience of really being seen for who they are. And it's the thing that we most want, but it's also the thing that we most fear at the same time. So a big part of what I focus on in session is helping the client have their actual experience that they're having in the moment and being there with them through that experience. So, a lot of people have kind of ways that they'll deflect, or they'll get uncomfortable, or they'll change the subject, or they'll laugh when they say something, or they'll avoid, and we all do it. I mean, we all have ways that we, kind of avoid our own pain, because no one likes to be in pain.
Yeah.
So something that I'll do, quite often in session is I will say to someone who's like laughing, or it seems like they're sort of blowing something off that is painful to them, we'll just sort of pause, and instead of just skipping over it to go to the next thing, it just tends to be more like, wait a minute, we're going to stop here, and I'm going to pause you, and I'm going to ask you to say what you just said without laughing.
Yeah.
And what would happen? And very often what happens is when people do it, they just start sobbing, or the tears come, or the pain that they've been trying to hold back. It just flows because they feel safe and someone is like witnessing their experience, and they're able to really connect with themselves in a way that they couldn't if they're just continuing to laugh it off and be like, well, it's not a big deal.
Yeah, it seems like you're building such a strong sense of vulnerability, which I love. I'm a big
Yeah.
Brene Brown fan.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. There we go. Connecting
Yeah.
on that. I love her work,
Yeah.
but it's so much more difficult than just saying, oh, I woke up today and I'm gonna be vulnerable. It's having people like you where you're able to say, Juan, you laughed during that, but let's dig a little bit deeper. Whenever you said the laughing, I do that sometimes where
Me too.
certain things, yeah, will
Me too.
get under my skin. And I'm a big humor guy. I'm a big, I like funny movies. So I'll throw that out there. And obviously right now during this video, I'm being super vulnerable. So you got
Yeah.
me. And I use my laughter and I'll throw it out there. But I know that, when I see my counselor and I'm in a session, it gets deep, and it's something that, it's a little tool that I threw in there to calm things down. But I love that you do that, and I love that you shared it, because not many clinicians would do it in that fashion. They may throw in a coping skill or do what more like graduate school would teach as far as structure.
Right. 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 And to be honest, I laugh with my clients and say I think about nothing that I learned in graduate school. And all of it has just come from on the job training and my own. I mean, I'm in therapy. I have a therapist. I think it's really important for therapists to have their own therapist. And it's just come from my own experience and my own kind of learning and seeing like what has worked for me and what hasn't worked for me. And I really, Juan, I think that people today like lack really meaningful connections in their lives. I mean, we're on our phones and we're plugged into technology, and I want to create a space where we're going to have like a real authentic interaction.
Yeah.
And I think it's scary for people because it's like you said, it's vulnerable, and it's scary to be like, oh, somebody actually sees me for who I am. And then at the same time, it's really fulfilling. It's really fulfilling.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You said the statement of you help people feel comfortable, feel vulnerable, empowered. I'm throwing that in there with feeling seen.
Yeah.
And then you threw in that we sometimes are just like this all day long, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which I know that I do that, which is not cool.
Me too.
How do we, how do you help people build a comfort with, I want to be seen and I want to be able to interact with people and build rich, sustainable relationships?
Yeah. Oh my gosh, you're asking me like these zinger questions.
There we go. Good. I Googled all of these beforehand. I wanted to be prepared.
Yeah, I love these questions. So, okay, let me just sort of gather myself a second here. I do this a lot in session, by the way.
I love that.
So I'll just kind of weave in sort of what I do with people because this may help answer the question. So I work with individuals and I also work with couples. And a big part of the work that I do with individuals is I really help them just go in and unwind like really painful, difficult childhoods that are keeping them from having relationships that they want, and particularly with themselves, but with spouses, with children, with family. So part of what I really deeply believe is that we have adaptations and we have wounding. We all have them, and that they came to be for a very good reason. And it was actually like kind of a divine intelligence that gave us the ability to create these adaptations to survive in a family that often was not kind, was not nourishing, was abuseful, was neglectful. And so we learned how to adapt and survive in that family. And isn't that great that we did that? So part of it is just sort of normalizing that this is what you do when you have a family who isn't giving you what you need. Like, this is exactly what you do. It's just a lot of just normalizing, like, this is what it is, this
Yeah.
is, you did exactly what you were supposed to do growing up in the environment that you grew up in. And so now that's not serving you anymore, and it's not getting you what you want out of life. So we're going to just peel back the layers slowly. And that's where the real time comes in, I think, is just,
Hmm.
let's pause here, and this is an adaptation or a defense that I see out of the wounding. And of course you have it. Like, of course you do. But we're going to stop right here, and we're going to have a different experience. We're going to let you make a different choice here, so that you can see what it feels like to have a real moment with someone, and when you're not in the adaptation, or when you're not in the defense, or when you're not in the wounding.
That's perfect.
Yeah.
I'm a big research guy, so
Yeah.
everything that you said connected well with like unlearning, acceptance. I mean, there's so many nuggets in there. It reminded me of as a side note, I do side notes a lot. In middle school, I was bullied, and I used my humor to really help out with that situation.
Mm.
And then growing up, I knew that, or I had somebody, a person of guidance, if you will, that I had to unlearn that, peel that layer off. But you're right. If we're able to, that's why I love having this conversation with you, because
Yeah.
I'm
So,
already like, man, she is serving people in such a beautiful way.
thank
But
you.
if we're able to accept that and say that tool served me for that purpose because of that environment I was in, now I'm sitting here with Candace or whoever is in that chair, and we're working to peel that off, hopefully in a slow, comfortable, kind, and nurturing way. Awesome,
Exactly.
amazing.
Yeah, that's one of the questions that I always ask people in the very first session is, how are you going to sabotage yourself in our work together? Like, how are you going to get in your own way? And that's when we start really looking at the ways that they have adapted and the ways that they have defended. And so we put it out there, and we come up with that the ways that they do it. And then I'll say to them, okay, if I see this, I'm gonna like gently reflect it back to you, not with any shame or blame or judgment or criticism, but just like, hey, here's this thing, and let's see what happens if we do it different.
Yeah. Do you
Yeah.
normally get good response with that?
Most of the time, I'm pretty. I think I'm this really interesting mix of like gentle on the one hand, but also like I can be pretty blunt
Hmm.
and tell it like it is. So I try to have a good mix of that. And most people respond well to it. The people that I tend to work with, um, 99% of them are just ready. They're like ready to do a deep dive, and they're ready to have a different life and a different experience of themselves and their relationships. And so while it's hard on the one hand, I find that most people actually like really welcome that.
Yeah.
And it's a relief in some ways.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, even
Mhm.
hearing it and being able to say, I want to learn some of those things. I want to be able to grow. I want to be able to peel some of that off. I think that's inviting in itself.
Right.
Well, Candace,
But you
let's,
said something I think is really important too, Juan, is that it's like done slowly. It's not like we're gonna take this thing that you've been protecting yourself with your whole life and just rip it off. And I mean, it's very gradual, and it's very slow.
it's not like that saying of rip the Band-Aid off.
Right? No.
No,
Although
yeah.
although my clients would disagree with me and say that's what it feels like. Yeah.
Well, that's good. Yeah. Whenever I work with patients, that's something that they ask too. They'll come in and share a trauma or a glimpse of it. And some of them will be so upfront to say, Juan, listen, I want to work through this. I don't just want to dive right into the first
Yeah.
session. You're asking these really tough questions. And I'm like, yeah, I get that. I
Yeah.
wouldn't want you to go to that type of environment. Let's get to know each other. Let's break bread. Let's build
Yeah.
comfort.
Yep.
Let's laugh a little bit, learn about each other, and then we'll start peeling.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. They have to feel safe with you, and they have to. I mean, I think I'm just overall in general. I think I'm a pretty genuine person. And I've worked hard because I've had certainly my own stuff and my own wounding, and I still have it. And I've worked hard to be more genuine and authentic in my interactions with people. And I think that's what people pick up on. I hope
Yeah,
that's what they pick up on, is that you're safe here.
absolutely. I think people, all of us were pretty good at, looking and reading and evaluating.
Yes.
Well, Candace, if people want a safe place, I'm going to use your words because you
Yeah.
provide a safe place. If people want a safe place, if they're watching this video and they're intrigued, they want to be able to learn more about you, work with you, how can they contact you?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I have a website, which is Candace Folden, CandacEF as in Frank, OLDEN. It's all one word, CandaceFolden.com. So they can go there and just check out. I write, I blog, I have a ton of blogs.
Yep,
So you
I
can
read
check
them.
out my writing. Thank you. They can check out my writing, my videos, just to get a better sense of kind of who I am and who I love to work with and what I offer. There's a contact form on my website, so they can email directly from that. They can also call me or text me. I'm so low tech. My office phone is my cell phone, so
Nice.
it's all the same thing. And my number is 336-207-8921.
Well, awesome. Everyone watching, I really think Candace is an amazing counselor. She's doing amazing work. She has an amazing story. And all of those details I'm going to put in the comments below so you're able to just click a button, be able to contact her. Candace, thank you for being here. Thank you for your
Thank
time.
you. It's been so nice to be with you today, Juan. Thank you for asking.
Absolutely.
Yeah.